What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets Central podcast. We apologize for starting late. Things going on behind the scenes, so not much we could do about it. But we are here and we're going to talk. And we seemingly be the only Met fans on planet Earth that are happy about the direction that they are going in here. As we're going to talk about a couple moves that they made. They made a few before. They made one right before we started, like an hour or two before we started. They made one yesterday and then the other one on Friday, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and two of them happened during rain delays. So, the Mets' new thing is making trades during rain delays, but we expect more to happen. Hopefully, a trade or two breaks. I'm hoping that if any trade's going to break, it's going to be the Verlander one while we're live, because that would be cool to get our reaction to that trade. But we'll talk about the teams interested. We'll talk about the prospects that are involved. We're going to talk about every single thing involving the New York Mets right now, because there is just so much to discuss since we last streamed. And the last episode, we went on a huge tangent about how we want this team to just blow it up and to do a little retool / rebuild. And thankfully, the front office acknowledged it as well. But before we jump into the full analysis and everything, please be sure to leave a like on the stream if you do enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live on the channel. But let's jump into it. I don't even know where we should start. Should we just start with the Robertson trade since it was first?
I just discovered a new feature. I just started streaming this on my channel too. I don't know.
You can do that now?
Yeah, I saw the thing in the top corner. It said, "Stream this broadcast."
Oh, okay, I know why it's like that, because I sent you the guest invite link instead, which apparently that's all we had to do instead of what we were doing before. But
do you want to send it to your Ranger Central podcast Rangers Central channel, formerly Core Python?
No, I'm just gonna stream it here, just because. Keep it. I'm trying to keep the Mets content here, the Rangers content there.
Right.
I'm separating it. I've been banging out a lot of TikToks on the Mets Central account. I've been banging out a lot.
Dude, that's the way to do it, man.
It's helping. It's helping, but we're going off the rails a bit.
Yep.
Not with Winnipeg this time, or studying trades.
Not yet.
Epler did study trades. Epler did study trades, as the Mets end up trading David Robertson for Ronald Hernandez and Marco Vargas. So everybody lost their mind because, oh my God, another catching prospect. Oh my God, another shortstop prospect. What are we going to do? Well, the answer is simple. You move them around, because if these prospects are good enough, they'll find a home somewhere in some position. We shouldn't be worrying about the position that they play, because things could change. Jacob deGrom was drafted as a shortstop.
Right.
These things could change. And Marco Vargas is 18 years old. Ronald Hernandez is 18 years old or 19 years old. These guys could easily move. Ronald Hernandez is already playing a bit of first base down in the complex league. And then Vargas, I think, was playing shortstop and had himself a very good day. But overall, to give my thoughts first on the trade, love it. You get very good value for a guy that was not... He didn't mean anything for the remainder of the season, with the Mets trying to punt and with the Mets clearly just blowing it up. He could always come back in the offseason if he really liked it here, and if the Mets are trying to contend next year, which I don't know if they are or not. I know Billy Epler says they're trying to contend, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's probably not going to be his decision to make. I don't know if he'll be around next year.
No, he will be, because they're going to want him just to pursue Ohtani. But David Stearns will be here to step over any decisions, hopefully, that Billy Epler wants to make. And if they're moronic, at least there's another voice in the room to tell him no. And a smarter baseball guy, that is, too. But when it comes to this trade, you get great value for a guy that wasn't going to come back. I know people thought, well, David Robertson should have easily fetched more, considering the fact that he was arguably the best relief pitcher on the market, and they traded him too early before the deadline. My guess as to why they traded him early before the deadline is because if the Padres did decide, which it didn't matter now, but if the Padres decide to be sellers at the deadline, Josh Hader's value would have been way higher than Robertson's ever was. So I felt like that pushed the Mets to get this deal done as well. Plus, they see these two prospects all the time since they are within the division. And again, I don't care that he's on the Marlins. The Marlins are the team that I hate the least in the division. So I could care less about an in-division trade. The Mets have done it before. They did it with Asdrubal Cabrera.
Yep.
The Vargas, too. They traded Jason Vargas in the division. That I felt was a sabotage trade, though. But
that 100% was.
Yeah, no doubt it was. But you get good value here, and I'm all for it. Both of them tearing it up in the Complex League, especially Marco Vargas. And, it speaks volumes, the Complex League numbers, because not even Alek Manoah could perform well there. So it's good to see them perform there, and I'm excited to see what they get. Plus, people are complaining that they aren't good enough prospects. The Mets farm system is so depleted that Marco Vargas, according to MLB Pipelines, ranks 7th, and Ronald Hernandez is 19th.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to you to give your thoughts.
To tell you the truth, I don't really think there was a way this trade could have been bad. I mean, and when you put into perspective of how bad the Mets system is, just the fact that you added for your own team 2 top 20 prospects. One, we said, Vargas is at 7 right now. He got bumped back by Acuna. I don't understand how you can complain. And 18 and 19 years old. So I mean, what we're gonna do? We're gonna hold on to him and then just lose him for nothing in free agency. That's the shit the Mets of old would do. So why don't we try something new and learn that selling and building up a good farm system is a good thing? And like you said, dude, we shouldn't be caught up on that. He's a catcher. Bryce Harper was drafted as a catcher, right? Like I don't really think positions.
Kenley Jansen too.
Right. It's like I think we're getting a little too caught up on position, and I was too. As a knee-jerk reaction, I was a bit too. But dude, we'll be fine. Keep selling. Sell everybody. I hope the Mets are far from done. I'm hoping there's at least 4, 5, maybe 6 more deals that happen, and just bring in as many prospects as you can. They're like who's it that tweeted out yesterday that I don't believe it's De La Cruz, but one of the prospects that's just popping off right now wasn't even ranked in the top 100 2 years ago, and
it was De La Cruz.
That was
he wasn't even a top 30 in the Reds organization.
So like I don't know. I think everyone's getting a little bit too caught up in that. Oh, we should have got more. We should have got more. Yeah, that's great, but like it's also better than nothing, which is what it very well could have been with the Mets of old. So let's all be appreciative that this team was at least smart enough to recognize they weren't good. They weren't going to make the playoffs, so might as well build up a good farm system and really then become the Eastern Dodgers, and that you have a good farm system, and then you bring in players to build around your farm system. Then you bring in the Mookie Bettses of the world, the Machados, the later on when Scherzer came there, Trey Turner. Then you do all that stuff, but you need a baseline first, and I don't think the Mets had a good baseline to build around.
No, not at all. And this core that they've been trying with since 2019 has just hasn't been good enough. They tried adding Lindor, didn't push them over the edge. Like they've tried tinkering with the core a bit, and nothing has worked. I know that they had 101 wins last year, but there was a lot that went into it, and that stretch at the end of August and September told you what this team really is about. And the wild card series too, it just told you what this team was truly made of, and it made all the sense in the world to sell. And I get that fans are not happy because you'd rather see them contend right now. You'd rather see them be contention. I know Steve Cohen gave the 3 to 5 year window promise, but I think he has thrown so many things out the window, because if in that press conference, he made it sound like he does not care about that window anymore. He's going to do what it takes to build this team the correct way now. I don't think he cares anymore. I don't think he wants to spend money anymore, as much money as he has, because it didn't work. It didn't work. And what do we talk about all the time when it comes to the Rangers too? Did something happen?
Michael Marino just tweeted, sources tell Azuli Haran and I that amongst the teams in discussion with the Mets regarding Tommy Pham are the New York Yankees and Toronto Blue Jays.
That I saw before we went live. And then according to Ken Rosenthal, the Dodgers and Astros remain in conversations for Verlander, but that's really not new information. We'll get to Verlander later, though. There's just so
Yes.
much to talk about that
There's a
we're all
lot.
over the place. But like I was saying, yeah, what do we talk about all the time on the Rangers podcast with them? They rushed the rebuild.
Yes.
And that they need it. You look over across the river at New Jersey. They rebuilt the right way. They let their young guys take over, and then they tinkered around the young talent that they had. That's the way you're supposed to do it. That's the way
100%.
you build a team with a deep farm system still. Because look at a team like the Devils still now. They look at their farm system, but then if you want to go to baseball and say, okay, because someone might say, all right, well, what about a baseball example? The Cincinnati Reds right now.
Yep.
Look at them. They have a unlimited supply of prospects, it feels like right now.
It's actually borderline ridiculous. Like, even right now, as good as they are, and I don't mean to cut you off, as good as they are, I did this earlier and I already fucking forgot. In the top 100s on Pipeline, they have 4 in the top 100. Which is more than average.
Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest example right now is the Baltimore Orioles, too.
Oh, God.
Look at what they've done. And we're going to talk about how that would be great for a trade partner with Verlander later on. But the Baltimore Orioles are another team that built their team from within. They blew it up. They traded Machado. They traded Zach Britton. They traded all these guys, built up a ridiculous farm system, and they have, 9 guys in the top 100 for the MLB, according to Pipeline? 9 prospects. And the Dodgers, of course, are the biggest example. When they changed ownership, they didn't just spend money right away. They rebuilt the team, they got the prospect pool up, and they built the team correctly. And then, like you mentioned before, then they started adding their Machados of the world. They started adding Turner, Scherzer, all of those guys. They didn't just jump right into, all right, let's go spend money and see what we could do here. I think if Steve Cohen could do it all over again, he would retract that statement about them winning in 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
And he would also say, listen, I'm going to be here to spend money, but first there's a process to get there. We have to build the farm first, and then we could start opening the checkbook, and then we'll be ready to contend. Because if he just did that, right now we'd be looking at a very deep farm system for the Mets, and they would probably be a year or 2 away from contending, where if they add Ohtani this offseason while they're still in a rebuild, it's like, okay, Ohtani will still be good within 1 to 2 years. Where right now, if the Mets are rebuilding and they go sign Ohtani, it doesn't make sense, because Ohtani, by the time the rebuild's over, who knows if he's still going to be pitching? Who knows what the level he's going to be at is? So they have to just go through the process the right way. And I really just hope that they just go through with doing a full rebuild and not doing this retool crap, because I just feel like it's more the same, and you're not building the team the way that you need to. You're just not. They need to take a step back, and they need to build this thing the right way, like all the other teams in baseball have done and continue to do. And that, even if it's at the expense of trading a guy like Alonso, who would fetch you probably the biggest haul out of anyone on the team, you have to at least consider it, considering he's already 28. He's gonna, in 1 to 2 years, if they're doing a retool and say they're back to contending in 1 to 2 years, he's already going to be 30 at that point, which isn't significantly old. And I know he came up at a later age, but I get that people value the home runs that he hits, but what separates him from Nelson Cruz with the low batting average and hitting 40, 50 home runs? Nelson Cruz gets passed around like a blunt. So, and right now he's not on a team, which, it would be nice to have a guy that could give you 40 to 50 home runs, but you could develop that at one point if you actually build your team the right way and you get superstar prospects and you draft the right way. It's a process to get there. Look at the Braves getting Ronald Acuna. The Nationals had Bryce Harper. They developed Juan Soto. They developed all these superstar players. It doesn't just happen overnight. You have to build the correct way. And
100%.
I think that the Mets are finally head in that direction, I hope, and they need to explore all options because they should not feel obligated to keeping this core together. I went on a tangent. You talk now.
No,
Tell me how you're feeling.
you're 100% right, and I think there shouldn't be. Well, in my opinion, there's only one person on the roster that is absolutely upon no condition, untouchable, and that's Alvarez. I
Yep.
don't think anyone else is completely untouchable. That goes for prospects too, because I'm not against prospect trades. I think it doesn't hurt business to just see what your players are worth. It's not just because you're listening to offers on someone doesn't mean you have to trade them. You're just gauging interest on the market. That's all it is. And you know what too, and it is upsetting because I do believe there was a world where Cohen came in and the Mets could win a World Series in 3 to 5 years, but we also got our option C GM after our first 2 GMs got canceled for each of their own stupidities. They go away. You get Lindor, then you lose out on Kevin Gossman, who would have been great for the bullpen. You fail to re-sign Bassett.
Rotation.
Right. You fail to re-sign Bassett. You fail to bring in George Springer. You fail to bring in Michael Brantley. You fail to bring in all these guys. You failed to make the Matt Chapman trade when we wanted a third baseman. You failed to bring in Nolan Arenado. You failed to fucking figure out Marcus Stroman or just straight up not trade for Marcus Stroman. And all the other relievers like bringing in who's the guy with the giant Chafin? Who's the guy with the big ass mustache that we wanted for so many years?
Yeah, Andrew Chafin.
Yeah, Chafin. Re-signing. What's the great reliever we just lost last year? Aaron Loop, and all those guys. You lose all those guys. You lose on those things from a shitty, in my opinion, shitty GM and a shitty front office. And who knows if we have a good GM, maybe all those things work out. Arenado's here, Gossman, Bassett, Springer, Brantley, and your sister, your mother, your father, whoever. And the Mets are a better team. But that's not the case. This is the hand we were dealt. You got to rebuild. I'm against a retool. I'm not against going in free agency this year and signing a bunch of veterans to 1-year deals, letting them play out the year, fill holes, and then flipping them again at the deadline. I'm not against that.
Yep.
I'm just against giving, let's say, a player between over 28 years old, a multi-year deal, assuming they're going to be part of the core, unless it's just someone that's so completely out there as a superstar that it makes sense. I think the Mets right now should be in, we're going to be bad for a while. If we're good, great. If we're good, great. But we don't need to force it upon ourselves to try to be good because I think it's just going to hurt you in the long run by giving yourself worse draft picks, setting up false expectations, and and taking away time on the field from prospects who could be getting valuable reps in the MLB, but then are hidden behind old veterans playing on a losing team.
I want to go into a couple things. First of all, mention about all the swing and misses that the Mets had originally, and as much as we hated Max Scherzer at times throughout his tenure, there's no denying that signing really changed how free agents view the Mets, and it changed free agents' opinions on if they wanted to sign with the Mets. Because the Mets, of course, after that, they got a lot of free agents. They ended up having Correa, but of course that fell through.
Yep.
But there's a lot that the Max Scherzer helped change the Mets organization in that regard. But then there's the other side, which I know people are trying to make this narrative online that what the Mets are doing is bad because they just paid all these guys. And what's going to be the incentive, even if these players get offered a lot of money from the Mets, what's the incentive to sign here if they're not secure to be here? Well, I think that narrative is stupid because the Mets they suck. And they need to rebuild, and they're acknowledging that. I don't think free agents are going to view that as a bad thing down the road when, plus, Billy Epler is not going to be the GM by the time they're out of this, hopefully. But again, hopefully they are rebuilding because I really don't know. I'll get behind a retool, but I won't get it behind it as much as I would a rebuild because what is the point of trading all these assets and not just going for it at the deadline this year, which I know they're far back and the season feels dead, but what is the point of not just going for it if you're going to go for it again next year?
Exactly.
What's the point? The point for this is you're letting these young guys come up, not just for this year, but for next year too. You're going to admit defeat for next year. You want to see what you have in Vientos, Beatty, Mauricio, Acuna might get called up too. You want to see what you have in
Yep.
all these guys. Mike Vasile might get a shot next year as well. You want to see this through and see who's going to be the guys that you keep around and who are the moving pieces in this thing. And it's going to be a long process and it's going to suck, but it's something that we could get behind because at least for once in our damn lives, potentially the Mets are picking a direction where
Yes.
gone the days might be where it's, oh, let's pay X player and then let's not pay this player because he's too much Daniel Murphy, and let's go for option B.
Right.
But still try to contend. No more of the days where they're just gonna tanker with the core and try to switch things up and hope that some combination works. Gone will those days be, and they'll finally actually have something that is going to be worth watching. And again, it's going to suck for a while, but at least they're going to build something that will be great in a few years. And I know it sucks for some fans to hear, and especially for older fans who are impatient and want a championship now. But for the long term of this team, this is going to be the right thing to do.
100%. And you know what? You know what team went through a rebuild and executed it perfectly? It's within our division. The Braves and the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
People forget that they had Strasburg, Harper, Turner. They turn around, they get Juan Soto. They get all these guys, and it got them a World Series. So I think the Mets, and you know what, too? If the Mets properly rebuild in the mid-2000s instead of trying to compete.
I would disagree with that with the Nationals, to be honest. For me, that's kind of, I wouldn't say they rebuilt to get those guys. Harper wasn't on that World Series team. I know that they of course had Scherzer. Right. Zimmerman was there for all those years, and then they of course developed Soto, but there was a lot of pieces where it was like, and Rendon developed with them, but there was a lot of meh in there. I mean, like Yan Gomes was the catcher of that team. They've signed Scherzer. Adam Eaton was in that starting lineup. Like they didn't have, they kind of struck the lottery with that World Series run there.
100%, but they still won nonetheless, and the Mets haven't done that in almost 40 years.
Yes, and they developed two superstars also.
Right.
The Mets have
never do. Never developed a superstar since David Wright.
Yeah, who unfortunately was injury riddled his entire career.
What could have been. But the Mets have got to go through a rebuild, and again, who knows what happens if the Mets properly rebuild years ago? Maybe we have Harper, maybe we have Trout, maybe we have Machado. If the Mets are 4 picks worse in the 2010 draft, instead of Harvey at 7, you have Machado at 3. So it just suck it up and suck for a while. It just might work out for you. It almost worked for the Rangers, but like we said earlier, the Rangers never properly rebuilt. They got lucky with 2 lottery picks. That's about it. It's about it.
Yeah, because they didn't build the farm deep enough and they just got impatient. And I understand from their perspective where they had a guy that wanted to be here in Panarin, and then they ended up signing him. We're not going to get off the rails there with the Rangers, but the Mets are in a different spot where they had to be aggressive for Scherzer. They had to do...
Yes.
They had to move the sun and the moon to get this guy in the organization because that's how bad the Mets have been viewed as an organization, that they had to basically bribe and move heaven and earth for this guy to come here. Took countless dinners for Cohen and his wife with him. Took countless meetings, countless everything, and a lot of money on top of that to get Max Scherzer here.
A lot of money.
Yeah. And the Mets that's what happens when you're not a good enough organization. It's just what happens. And that's why the Mets need to take a page out of all these other teams' books, and they need to rebuild. And by the way, it looks like we have a report that I saw from Ken Rosenthal that it's looking like things are really shifting with Verlander, and he's probably going to be gone by 6 p.m. tomorrow, which I'm not shocked.
Do it now.
Yeah, do it now so we can get a reaction. But I'd imagine it's gonna be done. It's gonna be done by tomorrow. I really have a feeling it's gonna happen tonight. The trade. Maybe tomorrow, and the only reason tomorrow is because Verlander might take time to consider if he wants to waive the no trade clause, and he'll probably meet with like Epler and Cohen to see the direction. But I could tell you right now, if I think this trade is going to tell us what direction the Mets are going in. Because if
Yes.
Verlander waives that no trade clause, that signifies to me that the Mets are waving the white flag for next year. And that they told Verlander, we're going in a rebuild. We're done with this core, and this is what we need to do. Go win your ring somewhere else and contend elsewhere. Sorry, but that's just the direction we have to go in. But if Verlander declines to waive his no trade clause, that tells me that Cohen and Epler are selling Verlander, that next year they're going to try to contend. But I think even now we have the answer here. If the Mets are really this aggressive with moving Verlander right now, this tells me they're punting on next year. Because
100%.
the free agent class is okay for pitchers. You have Urias, you have Ohtani, you have Nola, but Verlander has been solid enough, and you paid him a lot of money. You wouldn't just trade him if you're not punting next year.
100%.
They're actively shopping him. To me, this says that the Mets are going in the direction of a rebuild.
Absolutely. And then actually, just to bounce off of that, shit, I want to pull up the Mets. God, that light is just killing my eyes right now. I want to pull up who's actually even under contract for the Mets next year. Why can't I fucking find that? Well, either way, to your point, I mean, the only core players under contract going into next year, when I say core, I am near them putting that in air quotes at this point. But the only players you core-wise you have under contract next season, you have Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso, Diaz, and again, this is assuming Verlander goes, Senga, and McNeil. Those are the only guys I can, and of course the young kids. But like that's pretty much all you've got, under control, because everyone else is a free agent. Everyone else is gone. So get value while you can.
Yeah,
strike while the iron's hot.
The Mets have a lot of money coming off the books, by the way, after this year. As of right now, they have $112 million coming off the books next year between Scherzer, Carrasco, who might be moved too if a team for some reason wants to take a flyer on him. If they could get anything, even a player to be named later for Carrasco, I will take it.
Like
Cano's money finally comes off the books. Escobar's off the books. Canna, Robertson, McCann, Vogelback, Flexen, and Pham.
We're still paying Flexen
because they reacquired him to get Trevor Gott. They took Flexen on. They're paying him so they could get Trevor Gott, and then they cut Flexen.
I hate this team so much.
Yeah.
But
I'm not worried about the money personally, because as fans we can't be, and Cohen was willing to spend the money regardless, so I didn't mind. But $112 million, it's
a lot of fucking money, dude.
That's a lot. So if the Mets did want to go in the retool direction, I suppose they could. But to me, if they're actively shopping Verlander this aggressively, and unless they're getting like Hunter Brown, who could help them right away from the Astros, I just don't see how they're going to contend right away next year. Because it's one thing to replace Scherzer with Urias, or if you convince Ohtani to come here, it's another to replace JV and Max.
That's a lot. I think that's too tall an order. But then again, I mean, you look at the Mets pitching prospects, we don't have shit. We don't have anything coming up, at least anything close. You have Tidwell, right?
Tidwell,
projected 2025.
Yeah,
Hamill.
Tidwell, Hamill, Ziegler, Vasile, and then now Jarvis, which we'll talk about because we still haven't even talked about the trades. It's Jose Budo's not going to be anything at this
No,
point. We're done with that.
completely given up on
It's
him.
so I'm so sad that Matt Allen has been injury riddled because that's a guy that I truly felt could have been
Yep.
an ace for the Mets at one point, and unfortunately injuries derailed him. And if he does come to the MLB, he's going to be a guy like DeGrom that doesn't come up until he's like 24 or
Probably
25,
older.
maybe even older. Yeah, his ETA is what, 2026 now,
Yep.
it says.
Yep.
Right. So 2026, how old is he now?
22. 26 years old.
Yeah. So,
He's,
and that's only an ETA. He could maybe take longer.
mm-hmm.
And if he comes back, I have a feeling they're going to just transform him to a reliever at that point.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the least. My problem, I just don't like see any pitching in the Mets systems. Like, wow, this guy could be a really good pitcher. I see a bunch of like serviceable pitchers, but I don't know, man. It's just the Mets should not be focused on competing next year. If they want to go all in on Otani, I'm here for it. All right, go for it. Fuck it. You have nothing to lose, right? They're the best player in sports, because then that might turn things around. That might just give the locker room a boost. And what's the worst case scenario with Shohei Ohtani's arrival in terms of taking field time away from anyone else? He's just a DH. That's it. He's not taking field time away from any of the young batters, and you're replacing Verlander and Scherzer with Ohtani and whomever you call up. I'm okay with them pursuing Ohtani for that reason. I just put you in a weird spot because it'd be weird to like get Ohtani and commit to mediocrity.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, as cool and as fun as Otani would be, I really call me crazy, but I wouldn't even be mad if the Mets truly are going to rebuild if they don't even pursue Otani,
Think so?
because I I know fans will be mad, and because of the fact, the only thing I'll be mad about is why are you keeping Billy Epler around for so long when the whole reason you got him is for Otani? But at the same time, you didn't expect to be rebuilding when you hired
That's
Epler.
true. That's
You
true.
expected to be contending. So that's the one thing I could give a pass on. But I, for one, won't be mad if they don't even pursue Otani this offseason, because that's again Steve Cohen saying just opening up the checkbook and trying to just use money to buy a championship again when it's just not going to work. And Otani's going to help you obviously win more games. You want at this point just the better draft picks, and
Right.
you want to shed payroll, because if you have a higher payroll too and you're over the luxury tax, you actually get draft penalties. So
Mhm.
you're going to want these extra draft picks. So I'm not going to be mad if they don't even go for Otani. And I know that's going to be a hot take and that's crazy. But if the Mets truly are, this is only if they're actually rebuilding and only if they are not, don't have any intentions of contending in the near future. I am okay with them passing up on him, even though it would be cool to have him. It would be great to have the best player in the damn sport for
Mhm.
once on the Mets. But even then, if they do pursue him, I don't see him coming here. You cannot tell me
Yeah.
you sell him on a retool / rebuild. You can't tell me he's sold on, and I don't even know if he's 100% sold on coming to the East Coast. There's Andy Martino was talking earlier on SNY about how the rumblings about him wanting to stay on the West Coast are true. They're true,
God.
that he most likely wants to be on the West Coast.
Dude, if he signs with the Dodgers, I don't know what I'd do.
Oh, he's going to. He's going to, because the only thing in the Dodgers' way was the Mets. And if the Mets are tapping out, which I'm sure they'll give an offer, but I don't think they're going to be as aggressive as they originally were. I think it's a lock. He's going to be a Dodger at this point. The Mets were the only competition for them, because we know the Yankees don't spend money like that anymore. We know that all these other teams like the Orioles or the Rays, all these other contenders aren't going to open up the checkbook
Right.
to get him. The only team I could maybe see, which is also in the West, well, sort of, they're in the West Division, but their essential team is the Texas Rangers. So I could see opening the checkbook for him. But outside of that, I don't think the Dodgers have a lot of competition anymore for Ohtani. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Of course, I could be wrong. At the end of the day, I'm just an idiot on YouTube talking. So well, I there's nothing that I know that says any of this, but it just makes sense if the Mets aren't. Because why would you trade Verlander if you're intending on turning things around again and contending next year?
No, you're right. It's just kind of sad, man. Because I just hate how the turnaround was for us. Like going from how we felt 4 or 5 months ago going into this season, like talking about having a trip, like going to see Mets games together, to like I wouldn't fucking go to this game if they paid me to watch them play. Like it sucks the way things worked out, because this really was. We were all excited. Like I'm not gonna lie, I drank the Kool-Aid. I fell into the trap. I was fully convinced the Mets were gonna be a good team, and just sucks that this is where we're at. But dude, just sell, just give it up.
Yeah, because that's another thing too, that I don't want fans to act like I'm happy that they have to rebuild. I'm obviously pissed off that they are in this spot, but at least I could look at it in a bright way and be like, all right, at least we're getting a direction, and
Right.
at least we'll be good at some point, because we're gonna do this thing the right way. Where in years past, a rebuild for the Mets, like they didn't. They what
They didn't
had
do it.
Ahmed Rosario and Dominic Smith in the pipeline, and
That was
the
it.
list pretty much ended there.
Yep.
And then those guys didn't end up being anything. For the guys that are shitting on these prospects that we're getting, those guys didn't really be much. And the guys that weren't even hyped up, and Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil, ended up being
Correct.
the guys to stay.
Right.
And
Exactly.
another
That's
example,
a
if you
great
want
point,
to,
dude.
another example, if you want to, the Mets traded what's his name? That catcher to the Pirates, who just got called up recently. I forgot his name, but they traded him to get Joey Lucchesi, part of a 3-team trade.
Oh, you've put this in our group chat, dude.
Yeah, he was a player to be named later.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was listed as in the trade. And then he ended up being the Pirates' #1 prospect, or #2 prospect this past year. And the Pirates have a deep system, by the way. Ended up jumping up that high for a guy that wasn't even supposed to be anywhere near that.
Exactly. Well, dude, even
Things could happen and
even
change.
DeGrom, and I just went back to double check it. The highest DeGrom was ever ranked in the Mets system was number 14. And he's
Yep.
barring injuries, he could have been considered the greatest pitcher of all time. So I'm not sold on the whole prospect rankings thing. Yeah, it's nice to have a high number of prospect, like with high level prospects, but I don't want to get totally stopped up on it. And I am a fan of quantity right now, because the Mets have no quality at all, so you might as well get the quantity. Keep throwing shit at a wall and see what sticks.
Agree. Completely agree. Also, another thing that I'll say, Ahmed Rosario in 2013, I don't know how old he was, but I'm sure he was still a teenager in 2013, was ranked 20th in the Mets prospect pool, jumped up to #1 at one point.
Who's this?
Ahmed Rosario.
Yep.
If you look at some of the guys that are the top prospects, look at where they are now. Where even are they? Does anyone know what Gavin Cicchini's doing these days? Rafael Montero got moved to the bullpen after being a top prospect at one point. Michael Fulmer, what's he doing these days? Being a relief pitcher. That's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Hanser Robles, I don't know if he's even in the league anymore.
Probably not. He's pretty trash.
These prospect rankings do not mean anything, because then on the other side of it, like you mentioned, DeGrom was ranked, I'm looking at 2013 just as an example. DeGrom was ranked 12th. All the way down at 12th.
Ahead of him was Harvey. Steven Matz was ahead of him at one point. Syndergaard.
Yeah.
Ahead of DeGrom. And I think DeGrom's rating was a 55.
Yeah, and you hope that the Mets get better at this drafting thing too,
Yeah.
because like in the top 16, you had Matt Dendecker at one point. Like
I saw Kirk Neuenhuis's name on there, and I almost
yeah, I
pissed
see
myself.
Kirk New and I said
I almost
11 right here.
pissed myself.
But
Like,
yeah,
this is what we were
things
working with, dude.
things can change. Guys jump up and down these rankings. It's not set in stone. Brandon Nimmo in 2016, who is still on the team, got paid a lot of money. In 2016 was ranked 5th behind Steven Matz,
Oh
who
God,
sucks, Dominic Smith, who
who sucks?
sucks, Ahmed Rosario, who will probably be fixed by the LA Dodgers, Gavin Cecchini, who's not in the league anymore, and then you have Brandon Nimmo at 5.
Dude, Kevin Plawecki was our number one prospect at one point.
Probably, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, at what? And then people getting mad at the position. Do you want them to do what they did in the past, where they got in a trade? They got like Steven Nagosic, Jacob Rame, and
Yep.
these. Like, do you want them to get pitchers just to get pitchers? No, that's not how this works. It's not. At one point, also, guys like Desmond Lindsay were towards the top of the prospect rankings. You know who? I'm looking at 2017. You know who was ahead of Brandon Nimmo?
Oh God, can I guess?
Rosario 1, Smith 2. Who do you think was 3?
And this is what year?
This is 2017.
So would it be Plawecki?
No, Pilecki was already established in the league by then.
Well, careful how you say the word established.
Well, sort of established.
He existed.
He existed in the league.
He had a jersey number. That's about it. He had a jersey number and was
And
batting like
dildo in his
128.
locker. Yes.
And a dildo in his locker. So we're talking number 3 in 2017.
This one I don't know if you'll get, to be fair. And
Give
if
me
you
a
want to
hint.
keep guessing, you can. He was part of a trade in the 2018 offseason.
That brought in.
Well, that would probably give it away, but he was
I
part of
doubt
a
it.
trade he was part of the trade that brought in Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano.
He was our number 3.
Yeah.
Kelnick was.
No, Justin Dunn. Kellenic was not there yet. Justin Dunn was ranked 3rd. And
What?
he is not even in the major leagues, and he struggled in Cincinnati last year. And the fact that he got traded to Cincinnati, too, he was part of the Luis Castillo trade. Another thing. Other guys ahead. Thomas Zapucki,
Oh my God.
part of the Darren Ruff trade, by the way. Who actually did solid with the Giants last year, but I don't know what he's doing this year. Robert Gazelman, who's pitching with Trevor Bauer on the Bay Stars.
Jesus Christ.
Desmond Lindsay,
Who?
exactly, and Gavin Cecchini. Pete Alonso was ranked 10th behind Andres Jimenez, too. This prospect ranking list is crazy
Isn't
to
it
look at in
bad?
2017.
Isn't it bad?
Some of these names: Tomas Nido, Anthony K, Luis Guillorme,
Anthony
PJ Conlon,
Holy fuck. Is this
Chris
2017? we're looking
Flexen,
at?
TJ Rivera. Yeah,
TJ Rivera, probably the best Twitter account right now.
I freaking
Oh
love
no, is it TJ Rivera's Twitter that's funny, or is it the other one?
Ty Kelly.
Ty Kelly. Is it Kelly or Rivera?
Kelly. TJ
Okay.
Rivera I love, though, for his brief
Yeah.
Linsanity run. Josh Smoker. Wow. But that's the other thing. The Mets have never had a good enough prospect pool. That's the other thing we're
No.
getting at here. They never have.
We did for like a minute when we had fucking what's his name, dude? When we had Pete Crow Armstrong and all those guys, but then we just gave them up for 1-year wonders and then fucking never even re-signed the guys we traded.
Yeah, freaking Javi Baez.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sick. Oh, you're friends with Lindor? Okay, cool. Oh, what's that? Okay, we're just not gonna re-sign you. Thanks.
Friendships too, another thing. Glad the Mets are throwing that out the window too and not caring. But another example, if you go to 2018, Jimenez, Peterson, and Dunn were all ahead of Alonso. That's another thing. So You get my point, though. I'm
Yeah.
not going to keep going on tangents here, on a tangent here. You get the point that these prospect rankings don't mean anything. The position shouldn't matter because Mark Vientos was brought over here as a shortstop. Now nobody knows where the hell he's going to play. So, for anyone that's concerned about position, rankings, anything, you shouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think about it, to tell you the truth. Be wasting your energy.
Just see how they develop and watch it through. Just watch it through. That's all we could do at this point.
Dude,
And then if
what the fuck? Hold on, finish your point, then I gotta ask you a question.
I was just gonna say, hopefully, then they're bad enough to draft high for once and get some real blue chip prospects on their own. What were you gonna say?
So, in go to the 2020 Mets prospects.
Okay.
What happened to Junior Santos and Robert Dominguez? Our number 11 and 13 prospects.
Santos is still in the system. He dropped. That's another thing. Again, these guys shift around. Right. Santos dropped all the way down to 21 in the system for the Mets.
Okay. And Dominguez, I can't even. He hasn't registered an MILB game since 2021.
I'm not sure what happened to him. If I had to guess, injuries is what affected him, but I'm not entirely sure with that.
He had a pretty good write-up for him. I was just looking through it. He had a really nice write-up. Called him a steal.
Yeah.
Alex Ramirez. Yeah, there's Ramirez.
But with the pitching prospects too, I'm glad that the Mets also added one, or no, they had two actually in the Escobar deal. Which one of them isn't? I don't think he's ranked in the top 30, but the other one is at 22. But,
who is that?
Landed. I don't even know how to say his last name.
No, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Marsox. I don't know, but regardless, he's struggling in Double-A right now. That's the only thing I could say. But at least, again, you're building up the farm. And worst case with these guys too, at some point, you trade them to help you get better.
Exactly.
Prospects are weird in the MLB. It's not like the NHL where it's just straightforward that the guys that you usually draft in the first and second round are automatically your best prospects. These prospects could come from anywhere.
Yep.
They could
come out of nowhere.
They could go. They could be Cotton Eye Joe. You don't know.
They could be Cotton Eye Joe.
A prospect that I recently learned about, and by recently I mean this morning, that because I was just randomly scrolling through the Mets prospect rankings. A pitcher that I think is under the radar in the Mets system is Christian Scott. That's a guy that I'm interested to see how he develops. He's having a very good year in Double-A right now.
What's his line?
In 8 starts, he has a 2.72 ERA. He's walked only 7 batters, too, in those innings. He's allowed...
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's only walked 7 batters.
In how many innings?
In 46 innings.
What?
He has 53 strikeouts, which you'd maybe like the
what
strikeout
a ratio. Holy shit.
33 hits against him, 4 home runs against him, which is not bad for 46 innings at all. Hitters are hitting 201 against him.
Those are elite numbers.
He has a .86 whip also.
So he's the ace in Double-A.
I would say so, yeah. By the numbers at the very least.
Ridiculous numbers.
And he was doing even better in high A ball this year too. He was doing so good that they promoted him.
What was his high ace? I'm just for shits and giggles.
2.28 ERA. This is in 6 starts, 23 and 2/3 innings. He had no home runs against him. Only walked 4 batters. 27 strikeouts. Hitters hit 176 against him, and he had a .80 whip.
Yeah. Okay, dude. Keep an eye on that guy. What is he ranked right now in the Mets system?
30th. I can tell you right now, this guy's going to jump up the rankings next year on the pipeline.
We'll probably see him in 24. That ETA is probably dead on accurate.
I think we might see him. Maybe the Mets get desperate and they call him up this year. I would be
It's not
fine with them.
impossible. It's
I
not
would
impossible.
love for them to just over marinate him and let him work in uh, the minor leagues for the remainder of the year. But I can tell you right now, next year, if he's not a graduate of the prospect pool, he is definitely going to be in the top 20, top 15 for this team.
Dude, I hope so.
I
We
think
have
so.
no
I mean, with
pitching.
those numbers,
At
I wonder where
24 years
Baseball
old,
America
too.
has him right now because they do their midseason updates. Pipeline doesn't do midseason updates.
That's right.
Let's see if I could find a midseason.
Yeah, Pipeline has Jose
Great.
Butto at fucking 16 on the Mets. That's embarrassing.
Let's see if I could find at least somewhere that has a midseason prospect ranking. The Mets. Somebody leaked their Baseball America's midseason prospect rankings.
Really?
Yeah, somebody put it in an article.
Saw
Yeah.
that link.
Where do you think Christian Scott is now, according to Baseball America?
Is he top 15?
Oh, he's top 15.
Is he 8?
Close, 9th.
Oh, damn it. I should have just said 9. Yeah, that sounds about right. If he's putting up numbers like that, those are ridiculous. Those are video game numbers.
Yeah. He's killing it. Why can't they just do like I don't understand why they can't just team up with Baseball America to have them update the pipeline.
Seriously. Do you have the whole Mets 30 on Baseball America?
Yes, and there's
Can you go through it?
bit of a surprise. By the way, this is without any of the trades that they made.
Can
So
you go
keep that in mind.
bottom? Can you go from 30 down to 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Nick Morabito, I don't even know who this is.
Yeah, no, not him.
I'm gonna go to 25.
Okay, yeah.
Jose Butto,
Yeah, that's about right.
Jordani Ventura, Ovalis, Flores, Landon, the guy that they got in the Escobar trade.
Okay.
Where was I? Santos,
Yep.
Diaz, Crow, Stewart, Gomez, Gutierrez, Hamill, Rudick, Ziegler, Rodriguez, Reimer, Scott, Baez, Tidwell, Vientos, Ramirez, Vasil, Williams, Parada, Mauricio.
And Acuna pushes all of them back.
I'd imagine Acuna's number 1 there, right?
I would hope so.
He's definitely in the top 3 there.
See,
And then
Mauricio's a weird one for me because I feel like Mauricio has a super high ceiling. But I don't know, man. Mauricio's a weird player.
I'm interested to see what it's gonna look like. What's gonna look like post trade deadline if they release that. That's something that I'm interested in. But I can tell you right now, this prospect pool, especially if they're gonna trade Verlander, which it sounds like they are, it's gonna look a whole lot different and a whole lot better than it has ever looked before. And I'm excited, but yeah, Christian Scott,
I like that
Wow.
pick, dude. What a sneaky pick you just threw in there.
And it's crazy too because I was just looking through and I just randomly picked on Christian Scott because I was like, all right, let's just see how this guy's doing. Because his last name is Scott. He has 2 first names in his name. Let's see how he's doing. That was basically my logic. You laugh, but that was basically my logic with looking at him.
Oh,
and then I saw the ETA. I'm like, okay, 2024. Let's see what he's doing. And then I clicked, and I was pleasantly surprised with his numbers.
Those are ridiculously good numbers, dude.
I am curious to see what his velo is like. It says on the pipeline that his fastball sits at 92, 95. I'd imagine it's on the higher end if he's doing this good right now.
Or at the very least, it moves a little bit.
Yeah.
Not have something to it if he's not throwing it hard. Because there's been successful pitchers that don't throw incredibly hard. I mean, we saw it with Fart Tolo Colon, who I shit on when we first got him. He ended up being actually a solid ass pitcher for us.
Yeah, so good that he's retiring as a Met.
Yeah, right. He could officially retire after literally playing in a fucking alumni game.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, are they gonna bring that back?
No, I don't think they're going to.
Why?
I think they'll do it every once in a while.
Do it every year, man. That was a fun watch.
Yeah, I like that. But the problem I feel like is that they don't have too many alumni to like pick from there. So I don't know. But yeah, Christian Scott is a name that I'm now interested in. And I personally would rank him if I was to do prospect rankings, which I'm very now that the Mets are going to rebuild, you freaking bet your ass that I'm going to be invested heavily in these prospects so much that I'm going to watch film, I'm going to watch their highlights, I'm going to watch everything, and I'm going to end up having my own rankings. Just looking at the raw stats though, and looking through at some highlights, Christian Scott for me is my number one pitcher in the Mets organization, personally.
After that stat line you read, yeah.
The only pitcher I would consider maybe putting ahead is Blade Tidwell.
Because he's closer to the MLB?
No, just because I think he has potentially a higher ceiling. Tidwell is expected to come up in 2025. He just got promoted to Double-A, so we'll see. He looked very good in High A this year. Not as good as Scott did, but he's the only pitcher that I'd argue. I know people are very high on Mike Vasile, but I'm not as high on him as most people are personally. I think Christian Scott is going to be I think he's going to be a solid piece for this team. And that's, again, another reason why you take a step back next year. You see what you have in these guys.
It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you save money by doing that. Not that that's maybe even in Cohen's arsenal, saving money, but like if you wanted to.
It sounded like during that press conference he wants to, so.
Yeah, well, because he's probably losing money on this team right now with how bad they're playing.
Exactly. The only downside with pitching prospects is they always come up older, or at least in the Mets system, it seems to be that way. Because
which is not always a bad thing, right? Like, I would rather them be over marinated and ready.
Me too, but either way, pitchers usually take long. Like, that's a common trend in the MLB. All these guys are 24 right now. Tidwell's expected to come up when he's 24. He's 22 right now. Hamill's 24. He's still not even up. Ziegler's like the one exception right now in the organization that might come up at a younger age.
How old
He's
is
expected
Ziegler?
to come up in 2 years. He's 20 years old right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's like the one exception. But even then, we need to see more from him. He needs to play beyond A-ball, and he's not even doing that great in A-ball right now.
No.
So we'll have to see more from him for him to even prove that. But Diaz is 19. He's expected to come up in 2025, so that could be another exception. But again, another guy where he needs to prove more because he's struggling in A-ball right now. The guy they acquired, Justin Jarvis, is 23 already. Jose Budo didn't come up until he was 24.
Probably should have stayed down.
Yeah. Santos is only 21 still. He's been in the league, though, for quite a bit in the minor leagues. But, yeah, I mean, these guys end up coming up older anyway. And for anyone writing off Matt Allen anyway, I mean, 22, he's still young.
Yeah.
There's still time there.
I don't think that's the guy you should be writing off. And you know what, too? You'd rather him get these injuries out of the way while he's young, get everything fixed up, ready to go, let him pitch to his best ability, get healthy, and come up as a superstar at the age of 26. Wasn't DeGrom 25, 26 when he came up?
Exactly.
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. I'm definitely in agreement. But we didn't even get to the Scherzer trade itself, which we'll get into that. The Mets ended up eating half the salary there too. I think even a little more in the Scherzer trade as they got Luis Angel Acuna, the brother of Ronald Acuna, which we can't expect him to be that good, that level. If he is, obviously freaking great.
I'm not going to be complaining.
I'm not going to, yeah, we're going to be the last two complaining. And
we will be there.
Oh, we will be there. We will be there, and that when that to say that it would be okay. It'd be okay. I'll say that it wouldn't be the worst thing for the team if they got a Raul Acuna of their own. That wouldn't be too bad. An okay
Yeah.
player.
Just to have around.
Yeah, right. Like
take the occasional at bat.
Yeah, like comes off your bench maybe every once in a while. And if you're putting him in the lineup, you hit him ninth,
Right.
He comes up to be the right-handed bat when Daniel Vogelback's coming out of the game. Or you put him on the bases because he could steal. He's like Billy Hamilton. He could steal bases.
Right.
But in all seriousness, this is a prospect to be excited about. That's for damn sure. He's 21 years old. People are worried about him being too short. But to that, I say you're stupid if you care about that. I'm sorry you do. But he's 5'8", listed at 5'10" elsewhere, listed at 5'9" some places. So his height listings all over the place. But according to Pipeline, he's 5'8", and his swing looks very similar to his brother's, which is definitely exciting.
We'll take that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that, and we will definitely be there for his MLB debut. But hitting 315 right now in Double-A with a 377 on base, 453 slugging, 830 OPS, and just casually has 40 stolen bases? Yeah, 42 stolen bases.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's okay. I've seen quicker guys. I've seen Billy Hamilton walk this earth, or run this earth, I should say. So, not bad. But 51 RBIs on the year, 25 doubles. He loves a good double. Yep. I'm very excited for this. And the fact that they got this good of a prospect for Max Scherzer, who seemingly is cooked right now, definitely excites me. I say this, but then he'll win a ring in Texas and kill it.
And then we'll all look like assholes when we LOL'd at Jacob deGrom going to Texas to chase a ring.
Yeah, we will. But apparently there was more than just that went into deGrom's decision, which I still feel like part of that is because of Scherzer. So that is pretty funny that Scherzer's there.
Dude, don't you feel like they would have asked deGrom first, though?
No.
How fucking funny would that be?
I don't think. I don't think so. If you're talking about the Mets before they signed Scherzer, absolutely not. They just wanted to spend money to add more talent. If you're talking about the Rangers, deGrom's on the shelf. They don't care. They need his replacement.
True.
Plus, by the time deGrom's ready to come back, Scherzer probably won't be on the team. He should be retired at that point, but you never know if he's going to be the next Bartolo Colon and pitch until he's 100. So you don't know these things.
With all his injuries, dude, he's going to come back like the freaking $1 million man. He's just going to be fucking a literal robot.
Yeah, he's going to go to the freaking Phillies at the end of that contract and torch us.
Don't say that. Please go.
But in all seriousness, with this, you get yourself a very good... You get a very good prospect. I don't know when he's expected to make his debut for Binghamton, but I'd say we'd be there, but I'm not making the trek out to Binghamton personally.
No,
but I will be there to watch the highlights. I will be there for that. That's for damn sure. I'm excited about this return, and I'm even more excited. Well, not more excited, but I'm also excited, I should say, for the Mark Canha trade, where they ate money there too, but they get Justin Jarvis, who is ranked according to the Pipeline 30th in the Brewers system. Comes here and he's ranked 13th.
Yep.
Which I tweeted out when they got him. I said it, that watch him be in the top 15 coming over to the Mets. And sure enough, he is.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he is. Yeah. And this is another guy where I don't know. To me, I think his ceiling is a back end of the rotation guy, which is not bad at all for Mark Canha. Platoon outfielder / first baseman, and you get that type of pitcher, I'm not complaining. Plus, if that gets you away from, if he's the bar's low, be better than Carlos Carrasco if you're a back end starter.
You're not asking for a whole lot. I think you and I might have a chance to do that.
Yeah, all you have to do is your first inning, your first pitch, just don't allow a home run to Jonathan India, and you're good. But with Justin Jarvis, I think he's going to be more of a swingman or a bullpen guy. That's my prediction with what happens with them, because his arsenal is okay. He has a fastball, a sweeper, I think it was, a curveball, and then he's working on a splitter. So he's trying to develop that, which would probably indicate if he's trying to have 4 pitches, he wants to be a starter, but
Right.
it doesn't always work that way. So you could always see him just master those 3 pitches instead, which I think that's what they should do. And they should just make him a bullpen guy instead, or a swingman type guy that will eat innings for you, which still is not bad yet again for a guy that wasn't going to be here by the end of the year and was a platoon outfielder. And to be honest, Mark Canha, if he wasn't playing the Phillies, was kind of not, he wasn't really anything more. He wasn't anything more for this team. So you get yourself a solid pitching prospect in Justin Jarvis. And who knows? Maybe he is a good starter. Maybe he is, but we'll see. I think that it's another smart move for the Mets. It's better to get something than nothing, like we've been saying. And they got something and said nothing. So
Exactly.
that's all we could ask for. And then, of course, we're still waiting for Tommy Pham to be traded. He's linked to the Dodgers, Yankees, and the Blue Jays right now. Am I missing a team?
For Pham?
Yes.
It was Mike Mayer, Yankees, Blue Jays, Dodgers, and Twins.
Twins are an interesting one. I don't know what type of return he's going to get. I think he'll get a better return than Canha.
Yes, 100%.
Because he's a bit cheaper, I believe, and because, of course, he's having a better year. So you're probably looking at a top 20 prospect in a pipeline. And looking at the Blue Jays pipeline right now, just like looking at numbers strictly, I'm going to look in the 20 to 15 range because I think that's a fair area to look at. At 20, they have Manuel Beltre. He's not doing great right now in A-ball, but I don't know what it'll end up being. He's only 19, though, so he could always develop. Leo Jimenez is ranked 19th. He's having a very solid year in Double-A. Nothing too crazy, but his average is good, but his OPS is a little low. Not too low, though. I mean, I would take a guy that is hitting 286 with an 818 OPS in Double-A. For Tommy Pham right now.
100%.
Another shortstop, second base. What are we gonna do? Oh no! But
God.
I would take Leo Jimenez. He's only 22. He's expected to come up next year. Then you have Spencer Horwitz at 18, but he's up there in age. He's played 3 games with the Blue Jays, so he's had a cup of coffee. He's already 25 though. First base prospect. I'd imagine that they'd stay away from him, despite him having very good numbers in AAA, unless they view him as a better defensive first baseman, and then they just make Alonso a DH. But
not impossible.
Or if they replace Vogelback, who Vogelback might be traded too, they end up having Vogelback out of here, and then that's your left-handed DH. Then you have this one. Met fans would get a laugh at if they trade for him. And Manuel Bonilla. His last name is Bonilla.
Well, maybe let's avoid that one.
But
maybe just steer clear.
But he's 17 years old, so he could have a high ceiling. He's not tearing the ball off tearing the cover off the ball in rookie ball right now in the complex league, but he's doing okay right now. And then you have Adrian Pinto, who is a second base, shortstop, outfield prospect. So a lot of versatility there. Short guy, he's 5'6", weighs $156 also, 20 years old.
King.
Yeah, short king, indeed. Not doing great in single A. And then you have Desan Brown as to cap off the top, or the 15 to 20 range there. 21 years old, an outfield prospect who in high A ball is not putting up the best numbers. So obviously my favorite prospect out of that range would be Leo Jimenez, just by the numbers and the fact that he's in Double-A too, putting up those numbers. That would be a good add. And I think he'd be higher. Well, he obviously would be higher in the Mets pipeline.
And any prospect would be higher in the Mets pipeline.
Yeah. And then with the Yankees pipeline, Matt Sauer, not Michael Sauer. 24-year-old pitcher. If the Mets wanted to add another pitching prospect, he's in Double-A, not doing too bad. 3.86 ERA. He's a 1.25 WHIP, so definitely is walking guys, but wouldn't be a bad ad there. Anthony Hall, an outfield prospect, 22 years old, left-handed bat, doing pretty decent in A ball, hitting 275, 844 OPS in how many games is that? 55 games. 8 home runs, 9 doubles. Wouldn't be a bad ad either. Tyler Hardman, third base, first base prospects. And then you have Luis Serna, pitching prospect, not doing the best. And yeah, I mean, I could keep going with all the guys, but regardless, they're going to get someone decent for Tommy Pham.
Yeah.
I think the main thing that we should obviously discuss is what they could get for, oh, wow, as we have a report that could involve Verlander here from Michael Marino, that the Mets are they think highly of Dodgers pitcher Emmett Sheehan. Not Ed Sheeran, Emmett Sheehan.
Not Gavin Stone?
No, apparently we're in love with the shape of him in Emmett Sheehan, so...
I'm going to shoot myself. With a Nerf gun,
Yeah, with a Nerf gun. That wouldn't be a bad ad, though. I would love...
No, it wouldn't be. Where is he ranked right now? Again, I know that we just went
fifth.
On fifth?
Or no, sixth for the Dodgers.
Okay, that's actually not bad. Oh, welcome, JoJo. You come in right as we're wrapping up.
Oh, great. Perfect timing. Still right into the Mets.
Oh, let's see what happens here with the you have your AirPods. Plug in.
Plug it in.
Why are people so upset or so against trading Verlander?
Because they want the team to contend next year still. It's just that simple.
Just get rid of him.
I agree, but to get back to Verlander, so now apparently they're interested in that, so he would be part of a Verlander package, which would be huge. I would be very good. I'd be more than okay with that. I obviously love Gavin Stone, but Sheehan wouldn't be bad. I personally am high. I know people aren't on Ryan or River Ryan. I'd be high on him being part of a package. And then who is the other guy that everyone wants and I would love, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Andy Pages is definitely the dream to get. If they somehow got Andy Pages and Emmett Sheehan, even those two alone for Verlander, that is more than you could have ever imagined getting for Verlander, and that's some freaking great value. I'm for one against trading Verlander back to the Astros.
Yeah, I don't think the Astros have enough in their system to make that worthwhile.
I agree, unless they're getting their number 1 ranked prospect in Drew Gilbert, or they're getting their number 2 in Jacob Melton. I'm not
even
really...
then, dude, we need pitching help so bad. I'd be willing to take a lower ceiling pitcher at this point, I think. And that might be a dumb thing to say, but I just think we need pitching that bad.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I think that they're gonna really push this to happen with the Dodgers or the Orioles. If they could make this trade, with the Orioles, that is the perfect trade partner for the Mets. Because you could add DL Hall. That would be a good pitching prospect. And then you have a lot of good prospects there that they could still look into too. Colby Mayo would be a freaking great ad.
I think Jackson Holiday would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be bad having the best prospect in the sport, right?
Yeah, maybe just, I don't know, I might help out.
Yeah. Wouldn't be too bad, but...
No, just to have a body.
Yeah.
See,
What?
the Emmett Sheehan, you know what? I could actually get behind that a little bit. I just there's no there's not really a higher ranked pitcher out there that on a team that's on a team that's buying, unless you trade him to the Braves, but I don't think they're buying a pitcher right now. And you can get
Well, the
AJ Smith.
there was a report that the Braves are linked to Verlander, but I don't see the Mets making a deal with the Braves.
No, unless you get an arm and a leg.
Yeah, unless they're offering like 2 of their top 5 prospects, I wouldn't trade him to the Braves.
Unless you could work out a deal to send him to another West team and bring back this prospect. Oh, what's his name? Brock Porter. That we've been after.
I don't understand why they didn't freaking. I'm happy with Acuna, but
Yes.
I would have been so much happier if they traded Verlander to the Rangers and found another
Yes.
partner for Scherzer,
I
because
agree.
they could have got a good prospect still for Scherzer, clearly. Unless another team wasn't offering that good of a prospect, then that's why.
Mm-hmm.
But if they traded Verlander to the Rangers, they definitely would have got Brock Porter. Might have been in that deal.
Dude, we were so hyped up for that and totally got sonked.
Yeah, the fact that he left the game early.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we were about to be there for a Brock Porter,
Yep.
Luis Angel Acuna package.
God, man.
If we got that for Scherzer, forget just being there. I would have drove Scherzer to Texas himself. I would have gave him a piggyback ride to Texas.
Dude, I would have had Port St. Lucie season tickets, bro. I would have been fucking up. Or Syracuse season tickets.
Or Binghamton, wherever they were playing. I would have season tickets and I would be there.
Yep.
But they have a lot of options they could for Verlander. But again, I for one am not in favor of the Astros as a trade partner.
Yeah. I would borderline say I'm against it.
I'm with you there. I'm very against it. I like Drew Gilbert and Jacob Melton, but even then they're not ranked in the top 100. I know that it might not say much because it's a pipeline at the end of the day, but I'd rather get a guy like, if they could somehow get a package of Pages and Sheehan, we would so be there for that.
Well, dude, and you know what, too? The Dodgers and Mets could do like a Verlander and Raley or a Verlander and Pham or all
That's
three
what I
of
was
them.
thinking too. I was about to say that too.
Like, and then you could really maximize your return. Then you can get, dude, imagine there's a world where the Mets can get Sheehan and what's his name?
Pages.
Yeah, like, oh, dude, that would be kind of nice, man. But if you're making that deal and you're trading 3 of those players, I'm expecting 4 or 5 of their top 30 prospects. Like, I don't think you're taking it easy at that point, because you should be getting at least 2 for Verlander, at least 1 between 15 and 20 for Pham, and at least 1 in the top 25 for Raley. And considering there's going to be cash consideration from the Mets, you should be getting another one by default. Is that unreasonable? If Darren Ruff got 3 prospects and JD Davis, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for 5 top 30 prospects for Verlander, Raley, Pham, and cash considerations. Am I out of line for saying that? Tell me if I am.
Before I give my opinion, let me see something quickly. I need to do a bit of research.
Okay.
To answer your question on this one.
Okay.
So, yeah, the answer is you're not unreasonable. And the reason why I did research, I wanted to look back and see what Juan Soto / Josh Bell fetches a return. Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams were 1 and 2 in the Padres prospect rankings.
Okay.
And they got Robert Hassel,
right,
who's ranked 4th.
Okay, so they got that 1, 2, 4.
And I think and then Mason Thompson, who's ranked 11th.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Pham and Verlander, you should easily easily be able to fetch. By the way, keep in mind, they were prepared to take on Eric Hosmer and get more. And they still
Exactly.
got that much.
Exactly.
But I don't know if the Dodgers have a contract that they want to unload. If so, do it and get even more. But I agree with you that it is definitely not unreasonable to ask for Pages, Sheehan, and then take your pick of the other two prospects.
Exactly.
Or at least one more prospect.
Like, dude, like, what's to say, like, say you do Pages, Sheehan, Frasso, and I want another pitcher in there so badly.
Maddox Bruns. So we need left.
Well, here's
Yeah, Maddox Bruns, just you get a lefty in there.
Brooks.
Here's a better here's another look at a trade comparable, since the Dodgers were aggressive to get. This is a little tougher because of the fact that they're obviously not getting a Trey Turner type player in this deal, but they're still getting Verlander, who's your comparable to Scherzer in this deal, plus Pham. They gave up 1 in Keibert Ruiz, 2 in Josiah Gray. They gave up, where was the other guy? 18 in Gerardo Carlo, and 21 in DJ Peters.
So they have 4 prospects.
Yes, 4 prospects. So I think your good middle ground is Pages, who's 5th.
Yep.
Sheehan, who's 6th. And then you get like 20. I'm just throwing a random number out there. I'm not saying I want like exactly the prospect that's there. 24 and 27.
Right. And all those guys are probably in the Mets top 20 because of how bad our farm is.
If the Dodgers really, really wanted to be super aggressive and the Mets wanted to go balls to the wall too with this, fuck it. Package Verlander, Pham, and Raley, since Raley's on a very cheap deal. Package them all together. Get as much as you can from a farm system that is insanely talented.
Yes.
Because then you're looking at an even better return. You're probably looking at Sheehan, Pages, and then you could even ask for maybe another top 15 prospect in that deal.
100. I'm saying Nick Frasso, and throw in the lefty, Ronan Kopp or something like that. Give me a lefty in there.
Where are those guys ranked? So I could look.
So
Nick
you
Frost's
have
8th. Okay.
Yep. So you go 6. You get 6. I'm sorry, 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8, and 17.
Yeah.
Or 5, 6, 8, 26. We'll take Justin Robleski just to get a lefty in there.
Yeah. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I don't think we're asking for, anything that's like, I don't think that's a demand by any means. We're touching their number 5 and number 6. That's what's going to hurt. But they have so many other guys in their system. I mean, does it really hurt? And they're getting 3. They're getting a
outfielder.
They're getting an ace pitcher. They're getting an everyday outfielder, and they're getting a what would you call? Yeah, they're getting
a lefty setup guy that could also close games.
Exactly. Like you're getting a lot.
Also, keep in mind too that the Dodgers are very desperate for bullpen help. Their bullpen has surprisingly been bad this year.
Yeah.
He might even be...
Fucking throw out a Vino in there, too, and we'll take another prospect off your hands. Just make it work.
I don't know if they'll want to eat that much money. That's the only issue. The only reason I said Raley is because he's actually under a very affordable deal.
Mm-hmm.
However, they still would do it because their bullpen is not... It's not good. It's like Evan Phillips and then just like not a lot of great pitchers. And I don't even know if Evan Phillips is doing good this year, but... Raley would easily be their 8th inning guy. 7th or 8th inning guy because they have Gratterall too. But he would be their lefty 8th inning guy then, probably.
So, fucking, there you go. We just made the deal. We just did Epler's job for him.
If only we were in the front office to put that one in his ear.
Seriously.
Unless he's listening.
Imagine. He's
he
like,
we're the ones that promoted the rebuild.
Right. He's like, what's his name on the Flyers GM? Chuck Fletcher going online and proposing trades to season ticket holders.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome, Met fans. We gave them the idea to rebuild.
So fucking bad. I
When
gotta
that
go
trade
eat dinner.
happens, it's us.
I'm fucking exhausted. This team is draining my mental state.
Fair enough. But I'm going to end the episode here because I got to go as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. We'll, of course, talk about any further trades that happen. Knowing our luck, we end the live stream and the Verlander trade happens. So
Like right away, and they have to immediately go back live, and I'll be falling asleep.
if that happens, I'm at the very least going back live.
Yeah, I'll hop if they trade Verlander tonight, as long as it's before 11 p.m. Because even if it happens at 11 p.m., I'm taking my ass to bed. I've got to be awake at 6 in the morning. I'll be on.
We will be there.
We will be there.
But that's going to be it for us. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. And we will see you guys in the next episode.